Disney World is the largest, most popular, and most magical theme park in the world. And this week, I'm gonna bring the magic into my own home by building 10 different famous Disney attractions out of Lego. However, if I am to succeed, each of these builds are gonna have to be approved by the people who make Disney feel so special, the Disney cast members. First stop, Magic Kingdom. Welcome to Magic Kingdom, the home of Mickey Mouse, $2 popcorn refills, and the most iconic Disney castle of all, Cinderella's castle. In 2016, LEGO released a set based off this Disney castle, and to celebrate 100 years of Disney, LEGO re-released this set to update it, and it came along with a variety of Disney princesses. LEGO made such a faithful recreation of this castle that it felt only right to kick things off with that being our first build. This castle set is the largest Disney product LEGO have ever released at 4,837 pieces. The LEGO version contains a ton of fun references to a bunch of different Disney movies. Included in the set, we get 4 of the Disney couples, including, of course, Cinderella and Prince Charming, Rapunzel and Flynn Rider, Tiana and Naveen, and Snow White and Prince Florian. Or is it Floridian? No, Florian? Florian. And each of these princesses has a really beautiful portrait inside of the castle, which technically isn't accurate to the real thing. As located inside the actual castle, you will find Cinderella's royal table, which is an interactive character dining experience with the Disney princesses, and a super rare and exclusive hotel room that you have to be invited to in order to stay in. At the top of the castle, LEGO also included some small firework builds because we all know it is not Disney without a nighttime spectacular, which makes this set the perfect starting point for my Disney parks builds. But with the main attraction of Magic Kingdom all built, let's head into some of the other lands and see what rides we should do. Next up is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which is in the heart of Fantasyland. At the end of the day, this ride is for toddlers, but it never ceases to amaze me how popular it is, and for kind of good reason. As you hop in the swinging minecart that as you go through the ride swings side to side, and it's actually really fun. There are also animatronics of all of the 7 dwarves, and it's a really just fun, family-friendly ride. Since the carts have a wood-like look to them, I stuck to using primarily brown pieces with a little bit of black in there for the metal accents. Then in order to allow the minecart's room to swing, I built up a small base with the decorative wheels that the main section could attach to. Each side attaches to the base of the cart, with one having 2 small gaps just like the real thing, which the guest would use to get in and out of the ride. I used some black Technic pins to attach everything together, which have just enough friction to hold the cart in a swinging position constantly, and then added a little lantern to the front to complete the front cart of the mine train. And after making a second, I had enough seats for Snow White and all 7 dwarves to be seated on this ride. I'm so happy with how the swinging feature turned out, and now that the seats are filled, it makes it look even better, so let's go and see what the cast members think of the build.
This is the cutest thing. The swinging, it looks just like our ride. I mean, this is an amazing job. It looks so good.
Given how small this thing is, I am really proud of how it turned out, and glad that the cast members enjoyed it too, because that is another one down. After more than 5 long years of construction, Disney's newest roller coaster, based off the hit movie Tron, opened up here in Tomorrowland. See, remember that one? Yeah. Neither. The ride is incredibly fun and looks really cool at night, so I wanted to replicate this one next. Despite the movie failing at the box office though, it actually got approved to be a crowd-funded LEGO set back in 2018. The set featured 2 of the bikes, one for the blue team and one for the orange team, and a small platform for them both to stand on. But I don't get where the love for Tron came from. The set retailed for $35 when it released, and now is worth $225 on the resale market. And who would be stupid enough to pay that amount of money for such a tiny little The ride vehicle for Tron consists of 2 bikes side by side in multiple rows that zip along this really cool track. So instead of building the set 1 for 1 like we did with the Disney Castle, I'm gonna modify this one to make it look a little bit more like the ride vehicles. The first step was to color swap the second bike so that I had 2 of the blue, and luckily since the bikes are built the same, I only needed to swap out a few pieces and get a couple extra of the printed dishes for the wheels. However, even though I had 2 of the bikes, it still didn't quite look like it was supposed to.
So this is what the ride vehicle looks like, so let's try and make this idea set into the ride.
I needed to add a platform for both of the bikes to attach to so that it could resemble the base of the ride, which also acts as the loading platform. And once I'd attached them, I added a second row to complete it out a little bit more and also resemble how the photo from the ride looks. But even though the build was finished, there was still something missing. Since Tron has a reputation to be best at night, I really wanted to install some custom lighting to make this build match how it looks in the park. I got a variety of DIY components from today's sponsor, Light My Bricks, with the most important for this build being these blue bit lights. I used the instructions for the old kit they used to sell as an outline on how to install them, which helped a ton with the cable management for this one. I repeated the install on both rows of bikes and connected everything together with some of the 12-port boards. This made it so that I could have the whole build light up with a battery pack and allowed me to bring it into the park to compare to the real thing. If you want to try to light Lego yourself, you can check out Light My Bricks in the description down below and use code HollyOnFilm15 to save 15% off your first purchase. Adding the lights really made this build pop, and when I put it next to the ride, it really felt like it captured the essence of Tron and being a part of the grid. And after checking out the ride for research purposes, it's safe to say I am super happy with how the build turned out, but do the cast members feel the same?
So radical. I think it has so much great potential for the grid.
I think it looks like they're going to win against Team Orange for sure. It looks very accurate and the colors are very nice.
I think it's safe to say that Tron was a hit, and oh my gosh, does this set look so cool up in this section of the ride. Next up, it's time to head down to the Bayou, where one of the most beautiful but unreliable rides is located. Tiana's Bayou Adventure is the newest attraction to open at Walt Disney World and is actually a reskin of the classic and iconic Splash Mountain. Just like the old version, the ride vehicle is a log, which is what I will be building from this attraction. You hop in and you go on a journey to try and find musicians to help out with Tiana's party, and the ride is absolutely adorable. For this particular ride, rather than building my own mini model, I'm actually going to be building a custom set by Horizon Design that I bought off Etsy. I saw this on Twitter a while back and I thought he did such a fantastic job at recreating the log that I didn't really think that I'd be able to improve on it in any way. His model comes complete with spots for some of the figures to sit in and is pretty much minifigure scale, or at least as close as you could get to it. So with the log all built, I brought it down with me to the Bayou, complete with Tiana, Naveen, and Dr. Facilier to check out what the cast members thought of this set.
This is literally the coolest thing I've ever seen. Good representation to have Dr. Facilier, because it's going down the bayou. I love it.
The build is done and the cast members loved it, but unfortunately I didn't get quite as refreshed as I would have liked sitting in the back row. But luckily our next attraction isn't too far away, because right around the corner we have Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, one of the funnest family coasters ever. For this one, I wanted to build both the train at the front as well as the actual passenger car that the guests ride in. Leading the ride is a beautiful red and green locomotive, and luckily, since Lego has a long history with train models, I was able to find some perfect red train wheels for this build. I used these pieces to set the scale at which I needed to build at, but since the train's body is round and Lego doesn't have a lot of round bricks, I had to do a lot of trial and error in order to make it look proportionate. I don't usually build a lot of vehicles, so this was a fun challenge for me to try and get this engine to look right. However, it was still missing something, which was a ball and socket joint at the bottom so that the engine could actually attach to the passenger car. For the cart, I increased the width of the build this time around and used some jumper plates so that the minifigures would have room on either side. As on the ride, I often slide around on corners, so I wanted to have a little bit of extra space here too. I added the black handrail on each row, and the sides are made up of various tile plates that are attached using studs not on top or snot techniques. Much like Mine Train, I made a second of the cart so you could have a fully fledged Big Thunder Mountain ride system if you really wanted to. And as cool as the two look side by side, it was a little bit impractical for me to carry around, so let's go and see what the cast members think of this.
It's adorable, first of all, and it is very accurate. It has the 3 little rows and everything, the little lap bars.
This is awesome. I thought it was actually a Lego set, but you made it yourself. That's amazing. That's super, super cool. Mike, look at this. She made this. That's awesome, dude. Congrats. That's really good.
Chances are you probably skipped over our next ride, the Tomorrowland People Mover. It's an easy mistake to make, it's okay, but you definitely are stupid because you're missing out on one of the greatest rides throughout all of Magic Kingdom. All that's to say that this one is definitely for my hardcore Disney fans out there. The People Mover is a slow ride that takes you throughout the skies of Tomorrowland in Magic Kingdom, giving you the best view of the castle, and if you're particularly lucky, Space Mountain with all the lights on. It's a Disney staple, super relaxing, and should be a pretty easy build to accomplish. For the People Mover, I ended up needing to make the width 5 studs long in order to have the figures sit side by side properly. This unfortunately made building a little more difficult as 5 long plates aren't very easy to come by. The People Mover though, for the most part, is a very simple ride vehicle, with the only accents really being these triangular ends and the grey doors, which I found super easy to make when compared to Mine Train or Big Thunder. And besides some slightly odd dimensions, this has by far been the easiest build yet.
This People Mover car is very accurate, very detailed.
I'll accept that as the People Mover being approved. Next up, we have Disney's Animal Kingdom, aka a safari in Florida. Animal Kingdom is one of the most unique Disney parks in the entire world and has 4 of the most unique builds out of this entire challenge. I say that as if the first build for this park though isn't just a giant tree. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the Tree of Life, the heart and soul of Animal Kingdom. If you expected the main attraction of this park to be literally anything else but a tree, I don't know what to tell you. Alongside being the main icon of Animal Kingdom, the Tree of Life actually houses one of the most insane and scary attractions of all of Disney World. It's tough to be a bug. This whole thing fell apart in my bag, don't judge. With the Tree of Life, basically I just utilized a lot of really brown slope pieces in order to kind of build up the height a bit. Then to decorate, I added a couple of small plants to the outside so that it could match the jungle themes of the park, and then moved on to tackling the leaves. My plan to do this was to fill up the entire top section using a variety of these leaf pieces in either bright green or dark green in order to create some depth and dimension. I wanted to make the tree look very dense, so I stacked a lot of the trees on top of each other, which did make it quite flimsy, but ended up giving it a really nice shape. The tree ended up looking quite wide and not very tall, but because all of the leaves were very dense, I actually think it worked. I also only really built half of it and somewhat of the base, but I feel like for the main centerpiece of Animal Kingdom, it passes. It works.
It is like super cool. I noticed when I was walking by. I saw it up there, and I mean, I wish we sold something like that, honestly.
Yeah.
I think people will buy it. So yeah, it's super cool.
Did I do a good job?
I think you did.
And the Tree of Life is complete. Look, it doesn't look quite as full as it did when I first built it, thanks to being destroyed in my bag. At the end of the day, though, it is just a big tree, so I feel like it wasn't exactly super hard to accomplish. Next up is the incredible world of Pandora, and this is by far the coolest area that Animal Kingdom has to offer. The world of Pandora is incredibly cool and features this giant floating rock work. The environments of Pandora are the heart of the theme park area, and they look absolutely incredible. And the ride in particular that I'm going to be replicating is Flight of Passage, the most popular ride in this area. In this ride, you basically turn into an avatar and then get to ride one of the Banshees throughout Pandora. And a couple of years ago, LEGO actually made a Banshee set. I feel like it captures everything I love about the land of Pandora, from the Na'vi to the Banshees and of course the environment. And the Banshee builds are so well done in my opinion, with the main draw to them being the beautiful decorated wings. And in this case too, they can also be attached from the rocks in order to fly, so of course I had to bring one with me to the ride. The rock work in the Avatar sets look so much like what Disney Imagineering was able to build, and the Banshees look incredible, especially when compared to the ride. And LEGO even went as far as to actually make multiple of the Banshees that are featured within the ride. With how good LEGO made the sets, I really don't think I could have done much better, and that is Flight of Passage all complete. I also think the LEGO sets are cooler than most of the things you'll find in this gift shop. Expedition Everest, my favorite ride in the whole park. Expedition Everest gets bonus points if you ride it in the rain as well. One of the most iconic parts about Expedition Everest is the ripped up track. However, that seemed a little difficult, so I really wanted to build a mini model of Everest. The whole attraction is huge and stands at 199 feet tall, and I feel like would look really cool as a compressed mini model. There are also a couple of iconic aspects that I feel like I really need to include, including the slope up on the ride and the massive big drop at the bottom, which is one of my favorite parts. The build is made up of a variety of different slopes and inverted slopes in order to create the shape of the rockwork and the mountain peaks. Then to add to the effect of the snowy peaks, I also added some small cheese slopes and tiles so that it looked a little bit more natural instead of a rigid transition to the mountain summit. And the last detail I added was some tiles which represent the actual ride's track, including the incredibly fun drop down the mountain. I ended up making this mini model of Everest quite dense just in order to get it to work properly, and I feel like when you look at the ride from across the lake, the shape is pretty spot on. I just wish I could have done more of the actual roller coaster aspect, but still, I'm really happy with how it turned out.
That is awesome. Thank you for bringing it. The detail is impeccable, yes. Is there a Yeti inside?
No, but I have like a little Yeti separate.
Perfect.
I may have cheated with the Yeti a little bit, but otherwise I feel like Everest is one of my favorite mini builds so far. And last but certainly not least, we have the Kilimanjaro Safaris. For those of you who didn't know, Animal Kingdom actually has a fully fledged safari on the back lot of the theme park. So in order to replicate this ride, I decided to get the LEGO giraffe set, since giraffes are one of the most well-recognized animals that you can actually spot on the tour. But this giraffe set was released in 2024 and can be rebuilt into a lion, who you will also find on the safari, and a gazelle. The giraffe build though is by far the coolest of the three, so I built it and I hopped on the safari to see if I could spot the real thing and see just how accurate it looks to real life. I ventured into the savannah on one scorching afternoon, camera in hand, on the lookout for a giraffe. I'd seen lions and hippos and flamingos and no giraffes. Was it too hot? Did they all go and hide? But just as all hope was lost, I spotted one. A gorgeous, tall giant that looked exactly like my LEGO. Whilst I didn't make this build myself, seeing this beautiful creature means that I can tick check off another build off my checklist. And with the safari all done, that is all 10 Disney World builds complete. If you want to build them for yourself, you can find instructions on HollyOnFilm.com, but until next time, thanks for watching, consider subscribing, and let me know what other rides I should make.